Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here. Cirrus over there. Cirrus, how's it going?
I thought that I was live this entire time. I
Oh,
thought that my chat was just really, really low.
have you
But
been
no,
have you been talking this whole time?
could not could not access specified channel or stream key. Yay, it's one of those days again where I just can't stream to my own channels.
Oh, stuff says immediate hat.
I'm so happy.
I mean, my phone said ooh at me when I hit go live, so I assume that meant that you hit go live around the same time.
I did hit go live. It didn't
Hello.
do anything.
Thank you, Davies TJ, for subscribing. Appreciate that.
Let's see if maybe I can do this then. Oh, it's and where's the zoom? Where did zoom go? Oh, cool. Everything's just broken.
Everything is everything is awesome.
Everything is awful.
Okay, well, speaking of us singing, I'm gonna just post that link and get it out of the way because some asshole sent me $40 last week and was like, "Sing, bitch."
How dare you?
So we sang. Um, I think we said, last week that we would like do it on, like we'd prepare and do it on this stream, but then it occurred to us after the fact that like, oh no, that will just get our streams taken down for copyright because the Has Been Hotel songs are all copyrighted, and I have used footage of them in videos and stuff to like, I have a feel for how much you can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, no, we can't do a whole song. Absolutely not. So we just did it behind the scenes, and I have it uploaded. I've just sent the link to my chat. That's an unlisted video that you can go watch that if you really want to hear me and Cirrus sing. We were not good.
We did terribly.
Yeah, so if you really want to torture yourself with that, there it is. Go for it. Somebody paid for this. If it's your thing, go for it. But I don't understand you. Oh, you oohed again. Does that mean you try? It worked this time?
I I told it not to put me live on YouTube and only put me live on Twitch. That always seems to work, but going live on both seems to be a flip of the coin.
Hmm. Have you tried Restream?
Restream is what I use to go
Oh,
live on multiple channels.
then why isn't it just working?
That's what I saw. That's what I thought.
Oh, stuff. Fuck off. Stuff is forwarding the link to the Discord.
I also thought that so fun fact, when I was doing my recording with Mara Keller, I was on the wrong Zoom. So I'm used to just logging into Zoom and hopping in here with you. But I was on a different account apparently than the one that I actually paid for Zoom on. So it killed our conversation 30 minutes in, which is weird because once upon a time Zoom didn't do that. It only did that if you had like 3 or more people.
Yeah.
And now it does it whenever you're in a conversation at all, apparently, which is stupid.
Sean Helfin says, "At least you're not in Florida, which is getting hit with with another hurricane right now." So y'all remember a couple weeks
I'm
ago
sorry,
when I
Mr.
was,
President. A second hurricane has hit the Florida.
yeah, well, if y'all remember a couple weeks ago where I was all like, "Yay, I've hired an editor. Haha, let's be funny and like make their life difficult." Um, yeah, my editor lives in an area that is hurricane adjacent. I'm not going to give details because I don't know. I don't have their permission to share their location, obviously, so I'm
Look,
not going to share their location.
everywhere
But like,
in Florida is hurricane adjacent.
yeah,
It's in the fine print of the text of every property you buy in Florida.
Asina Salon says better than a second Florida hitting the U.S.
But a second
Um,
Florida already hit the US. It's called Texas.
yeah, Texas is dry Florida.
And mermaids are wet elves.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I could see that. Um, Vice Rhino is making the editor work through a hurricane. Yeah, I got out the whip.
Yep.
Like, I don't care that you don't have electricity. Cut that video, bitch. No.
Do it on your phone.
No,
Use
no.
Canva.
God, no. No, my standards are too high for that.
Okay, so ages ago, do you remember when like the wave of skeptic content creators came in about 4 years ago? There was another wave of them that all seemed to come in at the exact same time. This was the wave that like X Cult Baby, Unholy Shade were in. Um,
Okay.
I remember a bunch of the YouTubers from that era used their phones for editing, and I couldn't understand it then, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
understand it
Yeah,
now.
no.
But I remember that being a consistent thread amongst so many of them.
It's because it's all them damn Gen Zers. Ah,
Art- Artemis, thank you for the follow. Silent CDN, thank you for resubscribing.
okay. You have standards? I do, believe it or not.
Thank you for the
There's
hydrate stuff.
there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that I am incredibly nitpicky about. Um, that isn't necessarily the most visible in the finished product, but it's one of those things where like all these little things add up to a better product. And now look at the product that you get and think of how crappy it is and is like, imagine how much worse it would be if I wasn't this nitpicky.
If you think the standards are low now, wait till you see what happened before I got my hands on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Yeah, and Fennec says, but it matters to you. It does, but some of it probably shouldn't. Some of it does. Some of it does matter, and like even if people aren't going to notice it, it will be one of those things where like I don't know why I didn't like the style of this video, but I didn't like it. Um, but a lot of it is probably just me being neurotic.
Look, I have straight up, and not for my political content, because I try not to use that as a bludgeon here and where I live in Georgia. But I have, with my magic content, literally gone to random people in my card shop that I know watch me, and I've just gone like, "Hey, I changed this thing recently. I want firsthand feedback on that. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I could fix in the future."
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll pretend to do that with the comment section, but it's mostly just engagement bait.
I mean, at least you're honest about it being engagement bait.
Yeah, I'm usually honest about that in the videos too. I'm like, hey, tell me what you think down below, and I will ignore it.
Shadow Wolf, thank you for resubscribing. I'm glad we have a hype train now.
Hype, hype.
Yay! Oh, wait, Rhino baiting my engagement. Yeah, Rhino baiting. It's
Rhino baiting.
he's the master of Rhino baiting.
Yeah, that I am. I'm a master rhino baiter.
Just imagine if he wasn't a
I do
master
it.
at it.
I do it every day.
Every day.
Every day. Sometimes twice a day.
Every damn day.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does it for the dopamine rush before sitting down to edit because it's the only thing that pilots him forward.
Oh, I'm so sorry that Reploid woke up at this point. Okay. Shall we? Let's get on to the things because I think the first one's gonna take a while, and I don't know how much I've got in me tonight. So
So I can tell you exactly what you've got in you. Dr. Apple Pie, thank you for gifting a community sub.
I've
That's
got
not what
Dr.
you
Apple
have in
Pie
you.
in me.
No, no.
I think okay. If that's what's going on here, I think whoever made that scenario happen didn't watch American Pie properly because
No.
pie's not
What
supposed to go inside you. It's the other way around.
So what you have in you is water, 35 liters, carbon, 20 kilograms, ammonia, 4 liters, lime, 1.5 kilograms, phosphorus, 800 grams, salt, 250 grams, saltpeter, 100 grams, sulfur, 80 grams, fluorine, 7.5, iron, 5, silicone, 3 grams, and trace amounts of 15 other elements.
I'm willing to bet that none of those numbers are actually correct.
Everybody in my chat is going, Cirrus, no, not that. I get that reference.
What reference is that?
Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay.
It's anytime that a religious person tries to come up and give a like an explanation to the main character about the soul or anything. He'll flip out his book of what a human being is comprised of and go, we don't have souls. This is what people are made of, and list them all out.
Plow King says, saltpeter? Oh, you didn't know that you were made of gunpowder?
Kawaii Chitsu says, surprisingly, those are all accurate.
Yeah,
Crispy
no, so
Coco says, someone's been
I,
watching too much Full Metal Alchemist.
So here's my thing is that I have done a similar breakdown of what is contained in the human body on my channel on more than one occasion. So when you said it was a reference, I was like, are you referencing my video, or did I accidentally reference something that I haven't seen? So yeah, I was a little bit confused there, and it was like, yeah, no, that sounds about right. I don't remember saltpeter being there.
Jump Point, thank you for the 5 community subs. And yeah, as people in my chat are noting, he only knows it because he tried to resurrect his mom using that information. It didn't work.
Monorail says if they made the movie American Pie today, it would involve a couch and a latex glove. Indeed it would. Okay, let's talk about something that Cirrus cares about very deeply.
How deep in me is it?
That is the children's cartoon Bluey.
I don't watch Bluey.
You should watch Bluey. Everybody should watch Bluey.
I recognize I should watch Bluey, but it doesn't mean that I have.
I guess it was Reploid that sent the $40. So I paid for this nonsense. Thank you, daddies. I'm posting this everywhere. It's so bad. It is so bad.
It is legitimately fairly awful.
Yeah. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I don't know why you're enjoying it, but I'm glad you are.
Look, everybody's got their kink, okay?
Yeah.
It is our job merely to ask why.
We're kink asking why, yeah. Oh, that's going to be the tagline of our channel eventually.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, this story was... So this... I must have talked about Bluey quite a bit in the past. Because the story was, like, it just showed up everywhere. Somebody tagged me with it on Twitter that I don't remember who. Dr. Mojo Martin sent it to the email. And that all happened after I'd already found out about it myself. And decided that, like, oh, this is a Bluey thing. I should cover that on the thing. So, yeah, everybody wants me to cover this one today. You can read the good version of this article on The Friendly Atheist, where he's actually responding to this article. But we're taking it straight from the source on Blaze Media. Which,
Yay!
Apparently this is actually a bit of an older article that's just been, like, reposted. It was, like, some guy's Substack back in 2023. But, yeah, he says, how a beloved children's cartoon turns fathers into mothers and what the Bible says about it. So I figure for this, I haven't done my normal thing where I highlight, like, the important points of the article. I think I'm just going to read through this article and we can just kind of react to it as we go, because I have not actually read this yet. Fennec is asking if I'm sick. Yes, I am sick.
Yeah, sick as hell.
It made it easier for me to get Husker's low notes in the song, which aren't actually all that low, so that I didn't really need the help, but I had it.
The help was there, and it wasn't appreciated.
Yeah, I have my Kleenex box in my hat box, and it's actually for my nose this time. But
Yeah, so we must save the DILFs from the trans agenda.
What?
Sure. That's what Stoff said it, not me.
No, I understand what was being said. I'm just, like, wondering if that's where anyone is actually going with this, but I don't know. So, the fun thing is, like, I don't know if you actually watched that thing that I dragged my partner into when you were gone the one week, where I, like, got out my yarn and push pins and were like, they're actually a poly couple because they're doing this, like, they have an open marriage. Are
we talking about the cuck chair?
No, we're not talking about the cuck chair. The cuck chair was a joke. I'm talking about, like, real plot points in the show.
Okay, but can we talk about the cuck chair?
No, the cuck chair's not interesting. The cuck chair isn't interesting. But yeah, so, like, I made this big thing about how, like, they're actually a poly couple, and I'm putting my own spin on this because everybody else that is, like, seeing the same thing is like, oh, they're cheating on each other. And I'm like, no, they clearly are, like, madly in love with each other. They are just in a some form of polyamorous relationship where it is okay to do other things with other people, and they are happy with that, and they are fulfilled, and they have a good, healthy dynamic with it, and it's
They
all
are
great.
fulfilled.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm kind of surprised that he didn't go that route with it, with like looking for the insidious hidden meaning or whatever. But
But you just
sorry,
you
Sean
just,
Helfin just distracted me with we're talking
you
about how
just
Bluey is allowed to go have fun as well as his wife with the other. Okay, Bluey is the daughter. Bandit is the father.
this is the reason why
Yeah,
there's so
sure.
many
I don't know.
shirts that say I'm in my bandit era.
I have my Bluey shirt that is it's not a dad bod, it's a father figure. And it's got a picture of Bandit on it. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to try and give this a serious read and then we can react to it.
Okay.
As the Western world catches collective amnesia around the profile of the historic father, we've begun to move past portrayals of fathers as the bumbling idiot of shows in the 1980s and 1990s to a new kind of engaged, empathetic, and present father. This is a bad thing, by the way.
I think I've read these exact words before.
Possibly.
I think
Like I
I
said, this
think
is
I
an older.
have read these exact words before because this is like they'll talk about home improvement, how there's the bumbling dad that knows like very narrow things.
Yeah. Um. Or like Homer Simpson.
Yep.
Um.
God, you know what's weird? They changed Homer a lot throughout the course of The Simpsons,
Yeah,
and not.
they turned him from a guy who does his best and actually cares but is a bumbling idiot to a guy who just doesn't care and doesn't even try.
Well, I mean, he was also a raging violent alcoholic back then,
Yeah.
so there was like it wasn't all great for him then. But back then, he was written as somebody who did understand his job at the nuclear power plant.
Mm.
And later episodes retconned that because there was a whole thing where like he sold nuclear secrets to a different country because he actually fucking knew them, and then later episodes showed that there were two security rooms and one of them was fake and the fake one was Homer's. Oh whoa. And even Mr. Burns knew enough about the nuclear power plant to like pull up his sleeves and get to work, and everyone else did the work, and Homer's just sitting there like, wait, but I thought my job was important.
So, Scott Dillahunt says, "Is deja vu? You've seen this shit before."
I've seen this bullshit before.
There's only one problem with this new ideal father. He embodies almost all the elements of the traditional mother, purged of the essence of elements from the historic father. The poster child for this new depiction can be found in the mega-popular kids program Bluey. The dad, Bandit, is seen as a constantly nurturing, always present playmate to his two daughters, Bluey and Bingo. How dare he?
How dare you create a character that everybody not only relates to, but successfully does the fatherhood thing without being toxic or having these negative traits? How dare you create a positive role model for other people? You should know better.
Yeah. He's so present, in fact, that fans of the show often joke about when Bandit finds time to work, and in the show, it's clear that the mother has less time to play than the dad.
Is it maybe because the father simply has a writing team that likes him more as a character and therefore gives him more to do?
So it's actually because the writers are explicitly wanting to combat the picture of the bumbling idiot dad that they talked about in the earlier thing. They want to show a good, wholesome, healthy family dynamic. And part of that is like the mother is always the one that's at home with the kids doing all the stuff with the kids or whatever while the dad goes out to work. So like they didn't explicitly flip that, but that is why it often focuses more heavily on Bandit. It's not like, yeah, they're just trying to do a happy, healthy family. Rosina for $5 says, ooh, ooh. But anyway, what I want to say about him not having time to work, like fans of the show even joke about him not having time to work at all, there's like a whole episode, Curry Swap. It's called Curry Swap. I actually know all the episode titles. Well, okay. In my fairness, they say it out loud at the beginning of every episode, so this isn't like someone
They
in
say
like the
the
90s knowing all the Star Trek episode names.
No, they say the names of the episodes in Dragon Ball Z as well. And I can't tell you the name of any episode in that show except for Battle on a Vanishing Planet.
Anyway, in the episode Curry Swap, one of the subplots of that is that Bandit has to go away on a 6-week work trip, and Bingo doesn't want him to go. And so they work through their feelings about that, and how sometimes people have to do things that they don't want to do because it's their responsibility.
Stop says Bandit male wife confirmed.
Good for Bandit. But anyway, my point is he does work, and the final episode of the show, which not technically the final episode, but whatever, I don't know what's going on there. The whole plot is that they bought a new house, they're moving for Bandit's job so that he can have a better job or whatever. I don't like how they handled the end of that one. Spoiler, they kept the house and he gave up the promotion or whatever it was. And I feel like they could have done something with but you're moving and you have to move, and like the same thing they did with he's going away for 6 weeks. Yeah, you might not want to move, but this is, in the long run, it's going to be better. But everybody except for me seemed to love it, so who am I to argue with everybody?
I mean, we're content creators. Our job is to argue with the masses for content. I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to give that away. I'm so sorry. The content fairy is going to come and harm me now.
I don't know why people are sending links to the Neocitrin website in my chat. Like, I know why people would be recommending that I be drinking Neocitrin right now, but I don't know why they're sending links to the website.
Is Neocitrin just a citrus supplement?
It's a bit more than that. There's like some actual medicinal stuff, like citrus is dubious medicinality. But like it is really good at like clearing out the sinuses, and most of that is probably just that you drink it hot, and so it's the steam, and the steam does it. But still,
yeah, like zinc would do way more than citrus would here, and even zinc doesn't have a ton of conformational studies.
Yeah, well, it has Tylenol in it. Yeah, see, I knew it had actual stuff in it. Not just...
Yeah, the actual stuff is painkiller. Let's go.
You need Buckley's? Absolutely not. I am not doing Buckley's. I don't care if, like, they say it tastes awful and it works. I know. I get it. Can't do the taste awful. Just not doing it.
Tasting awful is enough of a reason.
Yep. I would rather have a stuffy nose than deal with the taste awful. Okay. It says, our culture loves this depiction of fatherhood. It empties the father character of all the elements of the traditionally masculine father we've grown uncomfortable with, and at the same time it provides freedom for the mother to get out into the world and explore her individual passions. Heaven forbid women are able to explore their individual passions.
I don't understand why right-wingers are so vehemently against women. Not women doing anything in specific, just
but also, like,
women.
If you watch the show, like, he does do a lot of, like, more stereotypically masculine stuff. Like, there's an episode called Stump Fest, where the whole thing is him and the boys get together and have a blast pulling stumps out of the ground. Like, tree stumps.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, why are they doing it? Just because they're having fun doing it.
It's a neat thing to enjoy doing, so they enjoy
There's an episode where he gets overly competitive at badminton with his brother. Like, they do the male competition thing, they do the male masculine manly tasks around the house sort of thing, but then, like, he also so when I think of masculinity and, like, what it actually means to be masculine in a non-toxic way, what I think of as being secure in your identity and secure in who you are, not caring what other people think. Bandit often puts himself in incredibly embarrassing situations for the sake of a game that he's playing with his kids.
You have to be pretty confident in yourself to do that.
Yeah. Like, the fact that he's willing to do that is like, that's actually really good role modeling. I like that.
Yeah,
And
I'll take that.
I think that is a really good masculine role model. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this silly thing that involves letting my daughter put makeup on my face, and then, oh no, she used her magic wand to freeze me in the front yard, and there are people walking past. So I'm just going to stand here like a statue with weird makeup on.
Oh no, you're happy with yourself, and your kids are doing things with you that they enjoy and you enjoy. Oh dear. Oh God. What is going on? This is so horrible.
Yeah. Everyone wins, right? Right. Well, it depends. No, it doesn't. It depends on whether there's an objective ideal of fatherhood and motherhood. There isn't, so that's fine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, everybody is different, so there is no objective ideal. If for there to be an objective ideal would mean that if everybody was placed in that objective ideal, they would all turn out the same. Everything would be the same. Because that's what objectivity would be.
But
so,
that's
like,
not what's going on.
That's not the way life works. Different kids have different temperaments, different parents have different temperaments. Different dynamics will work differently for different people.
Different situations have different outcomes.
Yeah.
It happens.
So, like, no, there is no objective ideal of fatherhood and motherhood. So, yeah, you can just throw that right out the window. And if there isn't, then symbolic depictions seeking to reverse these objective profiles are problematic. This didn't even, like...
What?
I know what objective profile they're going to go for, but, like, this didn't even reverse that. It's just a household where both parents work. And it just so happens that most of the storylines center around the dad. And you know what? There are plenty of sitcoms where both the parents work. Most of the storylines center around the mom. They just did it where a lot of them center around the dad. I don't see the problem.
And it's again, if the writing team favors one character, that's not the end of the world. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It only matters if you have a stick up your ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's plenty of ways to go through life that don't involve having a stick up your ass.
Yeah, like there's a whole episode where he continually, like, he'll play their game for a little bit and he's like, okay, but now I really got to get to work. And then they bug him a bit more. Okay, I'll play this a little bit more with you. You can, like, that's it, but I really got to get to work. So, like, there is an episode where, like, he has to balance playing with the kids while working from home.
Which is kind of what you would expect. You would expect that if in a show that is about these characters.
Yeah, Duct Tape Jape is saying, I feel like Chili features pretty heavily as well. Yeah, she absolutely does. Like, I think there are more Bandit-centric storylines than there are Chili-centric storylines, but, like, it's not by a lot. And, like, there are episodes where Bandit isn't even in the show. One of the best episodes is, the whole thing is just Chili and like, Bluey's not even in that one. It's just Chili and Bingo playing in the rain. There's no words. It's all just music and just them playing in the rain, and it's sweet and it's adorable and it's great. Another similar episode. Again, it's mostly Bingo focused, and this one is probably my favorite episode. Again, very little in the way of dialogue. It's all music. And they use classical music too, so this is a good way to introduce kids into classical music. And it's the one where Bingo's, like, having a dream about the solar system, and it's going through it, like, it uses the Jupiter movement from the Solar System Symphony. I forget what it's called. And just, like, the way that they're able to tell this, like, super duper touching and sweet story without any words, like, all with visuals and music, it's perfect. It's so great. And that one is entirely Bingo, and when there is an adult, it's Chili.
It confuses me that right-wingers care so much about this children's programming. Like, I'm sure
I care about this children programming.
No. I'm not saying in that way. I'm saying it's weird to me that they care so much in a derisive way. Like, it's way less cringy when somebody makes their personality liking something than it is when somebody makes their personality hating something, if you know what I mean. Like, if the only thing I know about you is the things you dislike, I have a very negative connotation associated with you. That's all I have. But if I know you by the things that you're enthusiastic about, I'm much more likely to be on board with you.
Yeah.
So it's weird to me seeing these conservatives that make their entire lives, not their entire lives, but a significant portion of their jobs about disliking things like this.
Yeah. And the episode I was talking about is called Sleepy Time. And the music that they use is Gustav Holst's is the Planets Symphony, specifically the Jupiter, bringer of jollity. Jupiter, the bringer of jollity. I don't know what that last word is. Happiness. It's a synonym for happiness. I don't know why they couldn't have said that. Probably because it starts with J and alliteration is fun. But yeah, that's a great episode. I highly recommend it.
Alliteration is fun.
Sure. Anyway.
Joviality?
No, it's Jollity. Jollity, but my mouth doesn't want to say jollity. Because that just doesn't sound right. Yeah. So embracing these kinds of portrayals, especially in a highly symbolic medium like a cartoon, will go a long way in shaping our intuition around the essence of these roles. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but in this case, it's a good thing. Like, I think that's kind of where a lot of that divide just ends up being. You both notice the same things in the show, but just you go, your response is yes and, whereas their response is no but. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that watching Bluey has actually made me a better parent. Because, like, there have now been times in my life when, like, oh, we got the MASH references. Jocularity! Good old Father Mulcahy.
I haven't watched MASH in a long time.
Yeah, I want to say that's a good show, but I also haven't watched it in a long time, and I'm not sure that it holds up, because there's a lot of sexual harassment in that show.
There is,
but also,
especially
like,
around the nurse.
Yeah, but you do have to have a certain amount of, but it was the time, and also they were portraying a thing that really happened, but then they were also playing it for laughs when it was actually a serious thing. I don't know. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, no. So watching Bluey has actually made me a better parent, because there have been times when, like, a situation that is similar to something that has happened in Bluey shows up in my house, and I'm just like, what would Bandit do? And the answer to that question is usually a good one.
Stoff says no. I don't know what Stoff is saying no to. Specifically, just no.
Just no.
Just no. I don't know. My friends of mine who were involved in very progressive spaces back before I was even progressive, generally praised two shows a shit ton, and it was MASH and Star Trek, for being just very, very progressive for the time of what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I always found it a little bit funny that, like, MASH went on for about twice as long as the Korean War actually did. It was like the TV show about the Korean War, that a constant plot point in the show was, this is such a long war, when are we going to get to go home? That show actually lasted twice as long as the actual war did, so I always found that kind of funny. But, yeah, so it'll go along, so embracing these portrayals will go a long way in shaping our intuition around the essence of these roles. I hope so, because, like, shaping our intuition about the way family dynamics should be around such a wholesome show as Bluey, I think is great. Now, today, almost no one thinks there are objective ideals to these archetypes, because there aren't. And if they are right, and they personally resonate with the father, mother, and daughter depictions in Bluey, wait, they would resonate with all three? Sure. Then everything I'm about to say will be dissonant and probably offensive. At least they know they're being a dick.
This may offend some people, but So, like I said, I haven't actually read this article through yet,
which is unusual for me. Normally I do. But I feel like this is going to be like in the same vein as the comedy shows where the entire show is just being them like, hey, I'm not allowed to say anymore. So,
You know, it's so weird how often I get censored. Nobody can hear what I have to say. Not a single one of you gets to hear what I want to say on a day-to-day basis.
catch me now on
Ignore
Netflix.
today. Today is special. Watch me on Netflix. I got a Netflix special going up. I got a special thing I'm doing with Blaze Media. The Daily Wire is going to bring me in as well. Don't think their contract pays really well. Gina doesn't say it does either.
I mean, Gina's suing to get away from them, so...
Oh, is she actually suing to get away from them?
No, she's not suing them. She's suing Disney to give her her job back with Disney. I don't know what the result of that are yet, if anything.
I doubt it. What's she going to do? Say, hey, you didn't renew my contract? That's not how contracts work.
Yeah,
You can sue for a breach of contract.
Yeah, she's suing them to have them write her character back into the show, which is now over. Well, no, she was supposed to get her own show.
Is her character endearing enough to get her own show?
No. I don't think so. I didn't dislike her character.
I still need to watch...
Fennec is saying, who is this? Gina Carano. She was the MMA lady who was in a couple episodes of Mandalorian and was supposed to get her own show. But then she said transphobic stuff and refused to stop saying transphobic stuff on Twitter when her bosses said, please don't do that.
It was mostly right-wing conspiracy
theories.
theories about...
it was an Holocaust denial.
Yeah, it was saying that, like, the real Holocaust is what's happening to conservatives right now.
Yeah. And so Disney was like, hey, we don't want to be associated with this person. So, no, we're not going to make a show for you. Bye-bye. And then she was like, fine, I'll go work for the Daily Wire. And then they put her in, like, 2 things and paid her nothing. And now she's suing Disney to hire her again.
Please bring me back, Mr. Mousecatool.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yep.
Freya says her character wasn't even that good. I didn't mind her character. I was never... Like, you know when you're watching a TV show and a really good character pops up on screen and so you're just, like, jumping up and down waiting for more scenes with that character? That was not her character to me. I was never excited to see more of her character on the show.
Yeah. I can't say that. I can't say that I was sad to see her go. She's not a great actor. She started in MMA. Like, when you start your acting career by getting hit in the head a bunch, you're probably not going to be an A-lister anytime soon.
Unless you're in WWE.
Yeah, but that's all acting anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, that kind of transitions nicely to a point.
I just shouldn't tell that to...
Okay. Dwayne Johnson might be, like, billing like an A-lister, but he doesn't act like an A-lister. He's okay. He's not a great actor. He's okay.
He acts like somebody who's going through life completing all the side quests.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right now, John Cena's doing the same thing.
Yeah, that he is. I don't understand why people keep casting WWE people in movies. Like, I get it for the Fast and the Furious franchise. I need a neti pot. Okay, people, stop trying to give me the home remedies for my stuffy nose, okay? I'm just gonna wait it out, because that's what I always do.
Okay, but have you tried the blood of the innocents?
One of my kids would have to not be guilty for me to pull that off.
Robbie says, give me a new Republic Ranger series with the older pilot and the hotshot rookie that may or may not be force sensitive. You know what I want them to give me? I want Star Wars to give me a proper Darth Bane series.
Okay. Fennec says, you live in Canada, go to the doctor. This is a small little viral infection. There's nothing the doctor can do for it. Like, yeah, there are probably antivirals, but like I don't need antivirals. Those can go to like an old lady who might die if she gets a virus. So the best thing I can do is just stay in my house, get as much sleep as I can, drink lots of liquids, and that's it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing everybody having their hot takes on WWE wrestlers, and I am holding my tongue since I am now kind of friends with the next WWE wrestler.
I know nothing about any of them.
The only one that I've ever spoken to is Drew Gulak, and that's only because me and him are both working on the same video game. That's it. I had him on my secondary channel for an interview one time for fun, but we talked about Pokemon and shit, which I'm sure was riveting for people who wanted us to talk about things that he's actually known for. But I'm not as interested in wrestling, so I made it about video games.
That works. All right, back to the article. So let me say from the outset that even in the conservative Christian world, my position is a tiny minority, maybe less than 1% good. So feel free to stop reading if you're getting triggered.
Oh my God. I hate that people use. Okay, so years ago, when I was way more into like the Sargon of Akkad Thunderfoot style content, I was also into Leafy is Here content back then. So I used the word triggered as flippantly as a lot of conservatives do right now. But now that I've divorced myself from that world so much, I don't understand it anywhere near as much as I feel like I used to. Because when you have a trigger, it's a trauma response, typically.
Mm-hmm.
It's your body responding in a way you can't control to some kind of stimuli. That's all it is. So why do we not give that word the weight that it's supposed to have now? Why do we use it fucking flippantly? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, that's why most of us, that like when a trigger warning is needed, we've moved on to calling it a content warning, because that doesn't trigger the conservatives like the word triggered does.
I'll fucking use it triggered the correct way. I don't give a shit about them.
Yeah. I issued a content warning, and I forget whether it was last Friday's video or this coming Friday's video. Because, yeah, I didn't know that the video that I was making was going to end up talking about rape a bunch. But it did.
Yeah.
And it was Mike Winger, and he brought up the verse in Numbers that is not just rape, but specifically child rape.
Oh boy.
And so it's like,
oh joy.
I'm not going into details, but I talk about it a lot. So if you're uncomfortable with that, give this one a miss. I understand. Thought last week was Father Casey, so then that would be this coming week. I don't know. Okay. Hiring an editor is a good thing because now I have more time to spend with my children. But in some ways it's a bad thing because now I am even less in touch with my own content.
You film it and then you go to the next thing.
Yeah, because like before I would have to watch my videos through a minimum of 3 or 4 times, because there's like I watch all of my stuff as I'm putting it together, and then I watch all of my stuff as I'm editing out my mistakes, and then I watch all of it as I'm like putting in the graphics that I'm using, and then I didn't always do this, and so there was a lot of stuff that got missed in previous videos, but like I would do like a final quality check watch through, and then it would finally get uploaded, whereas now it's just like, yeah, no, I recorded my stuff, done with that video. So like, which video did I say this in? Was it last week? Was it this coming week? Was it the one before that? I don't know.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. But anyway, feel free to stop reading if you're triggered. Let me lay out 3 premises I believe about this topic, and if you disagree with any of these, you'll likely disagree with my conclusion. How about instead of just being like, hey, if you disagree with me, you'll disagree with me, like, are you going to try and convince anyone of your position, or are you just writing this for the sake of having written it?
It feels like, if I were to put myself in the shoes of somebody like this, these are people that tend to get very defensive over their opinions. So when they say, if you disagree with part A, you'll disagree with the conclusion in D. The reason they do that is to defend conclusion D, because they can take any criticism that's aimed at conclusion D and say, well, it's you don't agree with me because you don't agree with this one point earlier on, the point that's less important. My overall point is very important. It's a way to avoid criticism.
Yeah, yeah, so if you criticize me, oh, I said you disagree with us and told you to stop reading. It's your fault for continuing to read.
Basically.
So, premise 1. Masculinity and femininity are not social constructs or primarily biological concepts, but are family concepts designed to create a certain dynamic and to construct a highly functional, multi-generational family team.
If it is meant to construct a family team,
then it's a construct.
It is by every definition a social construct.
Yeah. It's like, what
is the family? What is a family? A social unit.
Yeah, it's a social. The family is a social construct. Like, you think fish that eat their own babies have the family as a social construct? No, they eat their own goddamn babies. Humans have a society where we have social constructs. Family is one of those social constructs. So even if I agree that masculinity and femininity are not things in and of themselves, they are only things with regards to a family concept, that's still a social construct.
Hey, don't tell me what a social construct is. Don't tell me we live in a society. I don't want to know that we live in a society. I get upset when I think about society.
Yeah.
Because I am an enlightened individual on the internet.
So, premise 1 fails not because he's wrong, but because it's just incoherent. It doesn't mean what those words mean.
They're not social. They're this other word I'm using that actually means social. It's a stupid statement. It's a nothing statement.
Yeah. The Bible presents meta descriptions of masculinity / fatherhood and femininity / motherhood through symbolic characters primarily rooted in the story of Genesis. So when he says primarily rooted in the story of Genesis, I guarantee it's just going to be that one verse about how, and this is why a man shall leave his father and mother and cling fast to his wife. Which, if you actually, I might have some of the details wrong on this one, but I touched on it in a video a while ago. There's actually a lot of scholarly literature on that one verse as to what it even fucking means, because it is not as simple as like a man moves in with his wife. Like, he goes from being part of his parents' household to being the parent of his household. It actually, given where it's inserted and the way it's phrased in, like, using the Hebrew words, it actually probably was more about forbidden marriages. So, despite the fact that the parents don't want the man to marry this woman, he's gonna do it anyway because he's young and stupid and in love.
I'm just curious, has anybody made a full video yet dedicated to the idea of biblical scholarship as fandom? It's just fans of one thing arguing their particular interpretation of it, and other hyper fans of it disagreeing with them. They're just Star Trek nerds in a basement, bitching back and forth about who the better fucking captain is.
Except when looking at the question of what did the authors mean when they wrote this, there is a right and wrong answer for that. Now, what that right and wrong answer is might be completely lost to history, and we may never know for sure what it would be. But whereas, like, in Star Trek, debating whether or not the transporter clones you and kills you every time, and whether or not that's a philosophical nightmare, or if it's actually okay. Or like the Tuvix episode. Was Janeway justified in essentially killing Tuvix to get Tuvok and Neelix back? So that's a philosophical question that doesn't, like, that's not designed to have a correct answer, but, like, when it comes to science fiction or whatever, that's just like, A lot of times it's just people post hoc rationalizing things, whereas for this, like, there are contextual clues, like the sentence actually reads a lot smoother without that verse in it, so it's clearly a later interpolation, and there are other context clues that suggest a time frame for that. And the time frame when it was probably inserted in was also a time when a lot of the books of the Bible were written, describing how the Israelites were like intermarrying with other cultures.
So
And it was part of the Babylonian exile sort of thing.
So you're right. It's not Star Trek nerds. You've corrected me, and I accept it. It's Star Wars nerds, wondering which revision of George Lucas came in, and if it adds or takes away from the original contextual value of the piece.
Sure.
I accept my defeat, and I revise my position accordingly.
So on the Star Wars point, I've always kind of been of the assumption, like, because I when I watch Star Wars, I watch the despecialized edition, the ones that you have to pirate, and like these people went to great lengths to remove all of the special edition stuff and make as close a movie to what originally released in theaters in 1977 and the other two's respective release years. Because I think they are better than the special edition, because there was a lot of stuff that George Lucas just threw in because, like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could have a big CGI creature, because CGI is new and fun, and it doesn't matter that it
cool
clutters the yeah, like stuff like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, we can do without that. But then I kind of wish that there was like a hybrid of that, where, because not all the changes were bad. The Millennium Falcon taken off from Mos Eisley, way better in the special edition. The X-Wings and Y-Wings and such taken off at Yavin, way better in the special edition. So, like, I feel like there's a compromise to be had there.
See, Axo says, I hate the Star Wars fandom. I just sit in my corner with my friends and have a dumb little OC who runs around and does things and stuff. Star Wars has one of the worst fandoms of all time, it's true. But at the same time, it is one of the most fun franchises ever.
Yeah.
That doesn't excuse its shitty fandom. It's just a point of fact.
I've always kind of liked the fandom, but not because they're inherently good, but because it's really fun to trigger them. But
there's the use of the word trigger flippantly.
Yeah. I'm sorry. But no, I actually I enjoy. So, like, I think the prequels were kind of garbage. They were okay, but like, eh. The original trilogy was better. I like what H-Bomber guy does when he'll occasionally be like, he'll just throw some random joke in there about how the prequels were actually better, or he's a prequel defender or whatever, and like he just doesn't leave any room for debate. It's just like, no, they're just objectively better. Moving on. And I think that's hilarious, because like I know there are people that are going to get really, really upset by that, and it's literally nothing. It's just a show that you like, or a movie that you like. It's okay for other people to have different opinions.
I'm gonna be honest. I like the original trilogy more, but the prequel trilogy is one that gets better every time I watch it. And I don't know if that's just me getting older and like caring more about the political subterfuge plot than I did when I was a kid.
I just can't deal with episode 1. Like 2 and 3 were okay. 3's got the big final climax scene that's pretty awesome, but
2 is the one that I can't stand. 2 has some of the worst dialogue of any of the movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alpha, shut the fuck up. Oh, whoa. Stupid fucking whoa. You know,
Jester, been a member for 5 months, thank you, says, I want a version with the early big scenes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so if you want a version with the early big scenes, it does exist. It does exist, actually. The Star Wars radio drama keeps in the early big scenes, because the radio drama was made in its entirety before the final version of the film was cut. So a lot of the cut content from the film makes its way into the radio drama. So if you want that version of Star Wars, it exists, and it's fucking great. Anyway.
All right. So, premise 3. Meta depictions of these roles are good and necessary to give culture at large something concrete to aim at, even though all of us as individuals will find some elements of these roles dissonant with our desire or even our innate wiring. I mean, if elements of these roles are dissonant with our desires and innate wiring, then that means that there is not some objective best version of these roles. Otherwise, wouldn't we all like naturally gravitate towards the objective best ones?
I mean, actually, I don't think so. So
I mean, the
e-
fall, yeah, whatever.
even in, well, not just thinking of like the Christian theology there, but like just thinking of individual people's tastes. There are a lot of people who enjoy things vehemently that are objectively awful. The
Okay.
Room
As
is an
someone
objectively,
who enjoys the movie The Core, I will grant you that point.
yeah, like there are a lot of things that are objectively terrible, but we as nerds, as society, as disparate groups, we do end up enjoying these things greatly, irrespective of how bad they
Okay.
are.
But some of my enjoyment comes from the fact that it's bad.
Right. And now we get to my drama teacher's entire spiel about the wheel of suck. Where something sucks so much it comes full circle and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Dark Excalibur says legit The Core is fun. Absolutely.
The Core is a fun fucking
The
film.
Core has made me laugh way harder than any comedy ever has. And it was like, it was at scenes that were supposed to be serious, like when lightning strikes a completely concrete building and it bursts into flames. Like that just, I don't know, it just made me laugh. It was hilarious.
The ozone starts getting stripped away and everything just instantly melts.
I don't remember that.
It's when the planet stands still before they restart the planet's core, and it's at the Golden Gate Bridge, and the ozone layer starts peeling away, and the sun just starts instantly melting and boiling everything it touches within a nanosecond.
I'm gonna have to watch it again because I don't remember that.
Which feel like it feels so weird that that scene exists when we know that we can put people on the moon with just as much exposure to the sun and no atmosphere, and they don't fucking boil like that.
Yeah. All right.
Like, no, the Core's a fun film. I watched it. It was actually my science teacher, the one that turned me on to the idea of evolution, was the one that made us watch the Core in class. And then
There
I
we go.
watched it 2 or 3 more times afterwards because I was like, no, this film's awesome. I love it. I like garbage.
We got some Manos Hands of Fate quotes going on in the chat. I don't know. Okay, so Manos Hands of Fate is one of those movies where like I remember it being fun and hilarious and just fun to watch or whatever, but when you're actually watching it, there's these long stretches of just nothing happening where it's like, this isn't fun. This movie should be like 27 minutes long if you cut out all of the useless blank scenes. But there's also a lot of fun behind the scenes stuff in that. Like the actor playing Torgo literally tripping balls the entire time. So like the reason he walks the way he does is because he can't walk any other way. There's also like the couple that they spend way too much time with that are like making out on the road that the cop keeps bumping into. The reason they spend so much time on them, even though they have zero, like they have nothing of anything to do with the plot, is because the woman in that car was promised the lead role, but she broke her leg. And so the director was like, okay, well, you can still have a role, and I guess we'll try and make it a bigger role than we would otherwise. And there were actually a bunch of scenes that were supposed to be nude scenes, but when they had to switch actresses, the new actress was like, no, I'm not getting naked. And so there's a lot of moments where it's like she'll take off a dress and then be wearing another dress underneath. And it's not like a night slip kind of dress, it's just like a slightly smaller dress.
Oh my god.
And it's so good bad, but also bad. Okay, anyway, let's see how he justifies his first premise, which, remember, was the nonsensical thing about how masculinity and femininity are not social constructs, but they are derived from the social construct of a family. So I derive my first premise from the theological principle of first mention. When God created male and female, he actually revealed the purpose for gender, and that was to create a certain kind of family team. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them, said them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, blah, 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 blah. So this verse here, that is actually the verse that, if you look at ancient rabbinic tradition, in the Talmud, there are 8 recognized genders. One of those genders is androgynos, is I think the word that the Greek translations use. It doesn't translate exactly to what we would think of when we say androgynous, but it clearly shares an etymological root. But it is containing characteristics that are both male and female. This verse is the verse that the ancient rabbis would use to say that Adam was actually created both male and female. This is God creating Adam, male and female. Adam was androgynous. The first person ever was an NB. According to ancient Jewish tradition. And then the whole God took the rib out of Adam. Another translation for the word that is translated as rib there is actually side. So it's God took the female side out of Adam and made Eve.
Oh, so he didn't make her out of a little bit of like.
No, that's so.
He didn't
actually,
rip a little bit out of Adam.
I might be wrong on this one, so feel free to fact check me on this, guys. But I seem to recall that the word that is translated as rib there, that is the only place in any example of any ancient Hebrew document we have where that word is actually translated as rib. It's always translated as side in every other context. Can I text Dr. Josh? I could text Dr. Josh. But that's too much of a distraction. I don't know. Just assume that I'm right. So here's the thing. I could text Dr. Josh, but then he would like take 24 hours to get back to me, as I have just derailed his entire life, so he can go down a deep dive rabbit trail of this, because I've done this with him before, like where it's something that I think will be simple. And so
it never is.
I'll mention it to him, and he'll spend like the next day and a half researching this one word that I thought was an easy thing. Jassa says, Vice Rhino, too much of a distraction. We're on the first story. Yeah, that's my point.
Oh my god, it's 9:30 and we're still on the Bluey story.
We're still on the Bluey story.
God damn it.
Okay, we can skip the rest of the Bluey story, I guess.
How did we...
Okay, let's see. I'm going to move past his justification for the things. When in the Middle East, I see it everywhere? All the good and toxic depictions of fatherhood I see from those native to this region I recognize as coming from these Abrahamic stories. It's increasingly hard to see in the Christian West. So he wants there to be more toxic depictions of fatherhood in the Christian West?
I mean, this is the same kind of thing that we see when, like, Steven Anderson goes off and says that he would rather have the Taliban in the United States if it means he can kill the gays.
Here we go. One reaction I've received from people who think it's absurd to criticize a cartoon: you might think that Bluey is a wonderful depiction of fatherhood, but please don't be naive about the power of symbolic depictions, especially ones aimed at children. They might become caring, nurturing fathers. Wahaha.
Oh, no!
Was that a Troll 2 reference?
No, that was just me being really, really dumb.
It sounded like you were saying, oh no, but in the same tone that he says, oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
They're eating her, and then they're going to eat
me. Oh, so what's funny, I didn't know about that line at all until in Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles, which is a retelling of all of the Resident Evil games, but on the Wii in rail shooter style.
Mm-hmm.
When you play as Hunk through the Resident Evil 2 section of the game, you can hear over the radio people in Hunk's team just referencing a shit ton of like older slasher films and older horror movies. And one of them is the zombies, they're eating them, and then they're going to eat me. Oh my God. And I didn't know it was a reference for like 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so, oh my god, he's tying this into Like, we spend almost one-third of our lives experiencing symbolic depictions in our dreams, and most of our entertainment is created by watching stories filled with meta characters and what they symbolize. So Bluey is going to make you dream of having better parents, and then you might become a better parent, and that's a bad thing.
But
Is
we
what I'm
already
getting from
dream
this
of having
article.
better parents. Instead of I dream of Genie, it's I dream of better parents.
I don't know. I had a crazy, like, one of those nights where I kept on waking up and falling back to sleep or whatever. I had a dream that just continued on through all the interruptions, and it was I worked at an old restaurant that I got fired from before, and I was like advocating to start a union there.
Huh.
So yeah,
Based Rhino, even in his dreams.
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go into the details because it's a fucking
Well,
dream. It's like it's nonsensical. Like, eventually this restaurant that I really worked at in my real life became a restaurant in Central America somewhere that I was working at temporarily. Like,
hmm.
I've never worked at a restaurant in Central America. Okay, brains are weird. Empower Palpatine, do it. I don't
Do
know
it.
what do it is referencing there, so I'm not going to promise
The,
anything.
do it. Do it now.
Yeah, no, I know that reference. I don't know what
Kill
they're
him.
telling me to do.
Cut off his head.
Yeah, so, and in the same way, creating a daughter named Bluey using the color blue is totally lost on us. It goes right past our conscious awareness. If we do think about it, we think it's cool that they're reversing gender stereotype of colors. Oh my god! We skipped the part where it's significant that Bluey is blue because blue is a boy color, but Bluey is a girl.
Oh no.
Fuck. Who wants to tell him
Are,
about the 1800s?
who wants to tell him about Blue's Clues?
Was Blue from Blue's Clues a girl?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing. There was an embarrassing amount of time in my life when I thought that Bluey was the name of the dog on Blue's Clues because I knew of one children's cartoon that had a blue dog, and everybody was talking about this children's cartoon with a blue dog named Bluey. So I was like, okay, that must be Blue's Clues.
Jesus. All right. I need to leave you for a few minutes to run to the restroom. So,
Okay.
my body hates me.
Have fun with that. I will tab over to the next story so that we can stop talking about Bluey, which we've been doing for an hour and 10 minutes now. Yeah, that's 10 minutes. I can do math. The 1800s color distinction was my thought. Yeah, no, it wasn't until about the 1930s that it started changing to pink was for girls and blue was for boys. Before that, it was that pink was seen as a diluted red, and red is a very masculine and passionate color, whereas blue is a very passive and cool color, so it's more feminine. But then it was it started flipping in fashion. Move on to the next story, please, Sean. I know, I'm waiting for Cirrus to get back. I'm waiting for Cirrus. I'm being polite. Blue was also associated with the Virgin Mary, if I recall correctly. Maybe. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Rhino the type of dad to call every console and Nintendo. No, I would not fucking do that. Are you crazy? I get mad when people call the SNES the SNES, because I think that sounds stupid. It's an SNES. Or you can call it a Super Nintendo. But SNES? What the fuck? But yeah, no. I had a GameCube, I had a Wii, I have a Switch. I have had a PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 4. They're not just all Nintendo. What about Super Nintendo Entertainment System? That's if you're a dork. Not a nerd, a dork. Dark Shiguri says, as a fellow gamer, I agree with not saying SNES. Yeah, because SNES just sounds stupid. Oh, come on, Cirrus. I can't entertain these people. My feelings on the new PSA. Ha, ha, ha. You can't get me. I know they're only at PS6. Get it? Yeah. Oh, Lord of Uzkalak is a snesser. You're a snesser. Ugh. Rosina
Well,
says, which president wore a pink dress? Roosevelt? I don't know about a president wearing a pink dress, but I think it was Roosevelt's. It was one of the first ladies that kind of started the pink is for girls thing by wearing pink dresses all the time. Might have been Roosevelt, but I don't remember. My God, Sirs is taking a long time. This is a shit. This is another shit. Someone's got to tell him to shit before the stream. This is unacceptable. Streamers aren't allowed to have bodily functions during the stream. Everybody knows that. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, Dirk Shigure. I'm trying. Maybe he's simply washing his dick after having a pee. Dude, if you spend this long washing your dick, it's not washing it, it's masturbating. Actually, it's the original Super Famicom. Yep. But the Super Famicom actually looked different from the SNES that we got in North America, so they are two distinct consoles. And if that's not enough Nintendo lore for you to accept that I don't just call all the consoles Nintendo, I don't know what would be. If I say ooh enough times, I can make him say ooh.
ooh, whoa. Oh, whoa.
Ooh, ooh, small beans, little babies.
Oh, whoa.
Ooh, ooh, small.
Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh, whoa.
What are we eating?
Oh, that's the wrong one.
So I was.
Nope.
It starts.
I thought I had.
Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost,
Nope, that's
fire, Holy Ghost,
that's my partner.
What are we
Holy Ghost,
eating?
fire.
I don't know what's going on. That's ridiculous.
Please don't tell me that I just came.
I have that one.
Sometimes I pull on it so hard, I rip the skin.
I really should check what's on these sound buttons before I play them for the whole stream.
Fucking pronouns!
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Please don't tell me that I just came. Please don't tell me that I just came.
Yeah, I don't know why there's only like 3 uwus on there.
Oh,
I should have more than that.
Oh, whoa.
But
Oh, whoa.
yeah, we got the Holy Ghost fire from my partner, along with her air horn. So yeah, this is what it devolves to while we're waiting for Cirrus to pee, is me just pushing buttons. Yeah, what are we even talking about, Rob Gibbons? No one tell Cirrus that he just came? Well, I mean, if he's been washing his dick this long, it's masturbation, so...
Please don't tell me that I just came.
Sean says, oh no, we've now unlocked Rhino's urge to write a new song with his keyboard. No, I can't write songs. I wish I knew how to use a sampler so I could, like, turn just random clips of people saying things into a song. What's Cirrus cooking? Right now he's cooking up a big old turd. So... Oh, did I pronounce it right on the first try? That might have been an accident because I seem to recall, like, my tongue kind of slipping and get it. So, Dark Shigure. But I feel like the first time I said it, I kind of slurred the end there, so if I got it right, it was an accident. Ugh. Cirrus. The fuck, Cirrus, come on. Apparently Shigure is correct. Yeah, Rhino looks lost because, okay, I used to do Twit tweets by myself. And that was not great, but it was okay because I always had something to say about whatever article I was reading. But the whole, like, hey, entertain the crowd while we wait for someone to get back, and you can't move on because, like, then he's just going to be lost when he gets back. Like, this is a weird limbo state for me, and I don't like it. And I'm not as good at narrating people in the toilet as Cirrus is, so I can't do the thing that he does when I go. Cirrus got sucked off into Milton. That sounds like it might be kind of hot, actually. Not gonna lie. You can do it, Rhino. Yeah, no, I'm just responding to you guys saying things. This is the most chat interaction you're going to get this whole stream, so. Do we have an evangelical shit song? We do, but when I play it, they take half my money from the stream, which is more generous than copyright claims usually go, so that's not terrible, but I'd still rather not give them any money. So, text Cirrus to be... Okay, I will message Cirrus. My chat is worried that you fell in. Everything okay? There we go. Rhino needs a fez. Well, you can send a fez to P.O. Box 343 something 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 something. I don't know. Exclamation mark P.O. Box on Twitch will tell you where to send it. Did you see Cirrus' congressional candidate interview since you don't watch your own? No, I didn't see it, but he did tell me about it a little bit. Oh, hey. You know what I can do while we're waiting for Cirrus? I can get everybody mad by updating everybody on my asshole neighbor. So yeah, he called my oldest child a whore. Just walked past her, said, she's a whore, and kept walking. And yeah, they were in the middle of having an autistic meltdown at the time, and that did not help things. And he then stood around the corner from them, laughing for the next, like, 10 minutes. So yeah, he's a piece of shit who harasses children. So yeah, everybody in the chat saying jail. Yeah, we did call the police. And apparently there has to be, like, it can't just be a one-off event. There has to be an established pattern. So, yeah, we have security cameras up. They have audio recording. And he has been verbally warned. Yeah, okay, and your neighbor is alive. Yeah, no, calling the police was probably the better option that I could have taken from the things that I was considering. That is Cirrus. We got a message back from Cirrus. Toilet update. I drank 44 ounces of water and my body decided that was a fucking mistake. Yeah, legally speaking, probably the better option. Yeah, no, because legally speaking, as long as we're always taking the higher... Because this is not the first time we've had the police involved with them. And so, every single time the police have been involved, we have been the people that have been in the right, and they've been telling him to, like, no, you need to stop doing that. And so since there is now, like, they keep records, so there is now a police record of every time the police come to our house, whether it's us that call them or them that call them, the police side with us and tell him to stop doing the stupid shit that he's doing. So if he continues shit like this, it should not be hard to actually press charges. And apparently, according to the cop yesterday, he was like absolutely terrified at the idea of having charges pressed against him. So hopefully he'll just stop and behave like a normal human. Is Cirrus
I
back?
lived.
You survived?
I did not realize that my body was going to take that poorly to drinking that much water in such a short span of time.
Okay.
I also wasn't aware until this moment that enough water is an instant diuretic. Now I know that I need to pace myself better.
Yeah, okay. So I was just updating chat on my my neighbor situation. Axo saying kid's a minor, that's creepier than calling an adult a whore. So his defense when the cop went over was that like, oh, I just don't like the way they were treating their child.
What?
And so I wasn't actually insulting the child. And it's like, okay, no. You're on video.
But you called the child a what?
Okay, well, so his words were she's a whore. No one was out there except for my oldest at the time. Now, my partner had just come back inside the house, like she was out there, and then she just came back in, so he might have been referencing her. The way it looked to me on the video feed was that he was calling my kid a whore. But
that's how I would have taken that too.
Yeah. But he says that he was trying to protect the kids because
protect
he
your
didn't
kids
like,
from what?
From me and my partner. He doesn't like the way we treat them, so he was trying to protect them by calling them names.
How does that? No.
And then laughing at them. What's the best part though is that so we have the whole thing on video, and like he was standing right around the corner where he thought that he couldn't be seen, and when he thought that someone was like going to look around the corner and see it, he literally ran away. Like literally ran away like a fucking dog with its tail between its legs. He's such a fucking coward.
That's where and I'm not suggesting you do the things that I'm about to say, nor would I suggest anybody do the things that are about to come out of my mouth. But that's when you politely knock on a person's door, and the minute they open it and say hi, they lose a tooth.
Yeah, no, that was on my list of things that I considered. I decided to settle for calling the police. Another thing that I'm considering is setting up like a monitor on one of our windows that faces their backyard and having the video of him running away on a loop while blaring yakety sax. Because I think that would be hilarious. We're also going to there's a little old lady that like is friends with my kids, and like they'll walk dogs and go chat with her for a bit. So she talks to everybody in the neighborhood. So I'm going to ask her and be like, hey, can you just like keep an eye out, and like if you see him outside at the same time with my kids, can you just give me a text as like a way of like telling her what happened, so that then that information will spread to the rest of the neighborhood, and he's someone who cares very much about his reputation. So
oh, he's one of those people that gets off on putting other people down because it feels like it makes him have more status.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and, like this is, like I said, this is not the first time we've had the police involved, and every single time he has had some form of excuse that revolves around trying to protect my kids from something. And every single time that's just been blatantly false. So he wants to be seen as the good guy. He can't just be like, yeah, no, I insulted someone. What of it? He has to pretend like somehow insulting someone is protecting a child, even when the someone you are insulting is that child.
You don't understand. I am the hero of this story. You may not see it now,
Anyway,
but eventually you will understand.
Naramdaput says, praise OO Cirrus is back, so we can get on to our second story of the night.
Yay!
So, election-denying MAGA clerk Tina Peters hit with serious prison time.
Oh boy.
The video was circulating around on Twitter for a while, so I'm sure most people have probably seen this. She was sentenced to 9 years, which doesn't really seem like all that much. Basically, she let someone from she let someone associated with Mike Lindell into a secure election system so that he could like steal a bunch of data from it. And if you recall Mike Lindell, he's the guy that's been yelling about how the security isn't great. Everything's like so easy to breach and everything. Meanwhile, it's like
this
it's
is
the
how
people
it
on
got
their
breached.
side. It's the people on their side that are actually doing the election fraud. Always.
Joy, oh joy. Imagine my shock.
Yeah, Neuromptopus saying Mike Lindell is the fucking My Pillow guy. Yeah, did I not say that he was? But, yeah. So she was found guilty last month for allowing a man associated with My Pillow's Mike Lindell to enter the Mesa County election system after the 2020 election, a breach that gave illegal access to the very voting data that it was her job to protect. So, you want to look for election interference? That's it. Like,
Oh,
every
boy.
accusation is a confession. She also turned off the security cameras, gave him access, and then leaked voting data to her fellow conspiracy theorists.
Why would you ever think that was a smart thing to do?
Because she thought Trump was going to protect her.
Daddy Trump knows my last name. That means he's going to protect me from all the terrible things I'm about to do. No, that's not how that works. You
No,
can't
Trump,
just
no, even
fuck with the election.
even when Trump has the power to protect people, no, he throws
doesn't
his
do
people
it.
right under the fucking bus. Like, he had the opportunity to pardon a bunch of January 6ers before he left office. He
chose
could have
not
done
to.
it. He chose not to.
Reminds me of that scene from the Harley Quinn show where Poison Ivy is just having to explain very, very like gentle parenting to Harley Quinn. He's not gonna bust you out. The Joker doesn't actually care about you. He's not gonna bust you out of prison. She's like, no, my puddin' loves me. He's gonna get me out of here. I know he is. Nope. He's not gonna do it. He doesn't actually give a shit about you.
Yeah. So, District Judge Matthew Barrett indicated Thursday that Peter's lack of regret for her crimes was partially why she'd be spending nearly a decade in a state prison.
At her age, isn't she just going to die in the prison system?
Not necessarily, but possibly. Says, I'm convinced you'd do it all over again if you could, he told Peters Thursday. You're as defiant a defendant as this court has ever seen. Yeah, she was, like, yelling at him. He had to reprimand her several times. Says, you're no hero, you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. Peters has long been unapologetic for what she did. She smiled at her, in her 2022 mugshot and campaigned to be Colorado's Secretary of State, a run that didn't survive a Republican primary. True to form, Peters cried after the primary that her loss was the result of voter fraud. So, as always,
Of course.
when I win, that was a fair election. When I lose, it was fraud.
Every time, without fail.
Every time. Every MAGA Republican. It's weird how every single MAGA Republican that loses an election, it turns out that was election fraud. But every single one that wins, no, that was actually legitimate and fair and fine.
That's just democracy, baby.
But yeah, that's basically it. Just wanted to mention that some people are starting to see comeuppance for the shit that they pulled in 2020, which it gives me some hope, in spite of the some more news video that I just watched today about all the anti-election shit that's happening thanks to the Republicans, supposedly in the name of election integrity, but really to stop people that are in demographics that lean Democrat from voting.
Hip,
Like-
hip, hooray.
Like, hey, there's literally they've literally resurrected a Jim Crow law, like, and not like a law that is reminiscent of Jim Crow laws, like an actual law that was written in the 1890s. And the person who wrote it went explicitly on the record saying this law is to stop black people from voting.
Feels a lot like the stuff that Brian Kemp has tried to do in
Jassa
Georgia.
says, I take credit for showing the story. Okay, yeah, I forgot to give credit, but this one came to me from E.T. Benson. So I don't know who, unless I just accidentally doxed Jassa, which I don't think I did, because Jassa has emailed me before and it hasn't been this person. So I'm sorry if I just doxed you. I didn't mean to. Anyway, last one. This was from, it wouldn't be a normal day without my anonymous source sending me something. So this came to me from anonymous. No, Jess has sent it to me on Twitter. Fennec says you have to email her, he won't notice. No, sometimes I notice the Twitter ones, but yeah, it's easier for me to keep track if it's in the email. Okay, so this one came to us from anonymous. Bibles that Oklahoma wants for schools, match version backed by Trump. Funny that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, like, said every, like, oh yeah, Oklahoma's top education official is seeking to purchase 55,000 Bibles for public schools and specifying that each copy contain a Declaration of Independence and U.S. Constitution, which are not commonly found in Bibles, but are included in one Bible that's been endorsed by former President Donald Trump.
Why do we need those in a Bible?
I don't know. So that they have an excuse to funnel a bunch of money directly to Trump without saying we just wanted to give Trump money.
Oh my God.
Like that's all this is. This is a very, very transparent attempt to just give him a bunch of money. And I heard about this first on I think it was Cognitive Dissonance, and they actually did the math for, like, because, like, one of the justifications he gives for having Bibles in the classes at all is that like he just wants them in, like, I only want them in relevant classes like history. But, like, when you do the math for, like, how many classes there are and how much he said he's going to spend, like, he says he's seeking to spend $3 million in state funds for Bibles that fit these criteria. When you do that math, that's not just a Bible in every single classroom, regardless, like, not just the history classrooms, but, like, all the classrooms. That's more than enough for these $60 Bibles, when, like, you could get cheaper Bibles for, like, what, 10, 20 bucks, especially if you're buying in bulk.
Yeah. It's just a way to get a specific type of thing in the classroom to either push an agenda or make sure that a very particular person gets some funding from it.
Yeah.
Which is more than a little bit fucked up.
So on top of having the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, it also has to be bound in leather or leather-like material for durability. Because
kids keep paperback books for years.
Yeah, like that's why all the textbooks in middle school are leather.
Oh, yeah, they're fucking not. They're all paperback, almost all of them.
Pretty sure the Super Nintendo in Oklahoma wants to lead Trump's Department of Education, and this is him trying out. I thought Trump's Department of Education was going to be one that doesn't exist.
Also, you said the Super Nintendo? You mean the superintendent?
No. Rosina said Super Nintendo. That is a Simpsons reference.
Oh.
Where Ralph is looking up and saying, I'm learning Super Nintendo, Chalmers. I am on point today. I'm getting all the references today, except for that one about the water and stuff, but that I got that as a reference to myself. So I'm winning. I'm winning, son.
You're doing it. I'm so proud of you. Look at you.
Yeah, normally you make all these references that I don't get, but today it is working.
Today it is different. For you see.
I should be sick and completely out of it more often, because, like, my brain has not been braining today. Like, we have a cabinet in the house that has all the snacks in it, and it is locked because we have more than one child who compulsively steals snacks if they are not locked up. Yeah, we spent longer than I'd like to admit looking for the keys tonight, and then it turns out that when I packed the kids' lunches this morning, I just left the key in the lock all day. Because that's how my day's going. Oh, I should probably make sure the car's locked. Well, I'm thinking of locks. Doors are locked. Okay.
You did it.
Yay. Okay. The requirements match the God Bless the USA Bible that Trump urged his supporters to begin buying earlier this year at a website that sells the books for $60. A spokesman for Walters said the proposal was open to any vendor, though. This isn't specific to Trump's. It just so happens that his is the only one that already exists that meets the criteria.
Just imagine that. It's so weird that that's the case.
Scott Dillahunt says, brain and brain, what is brain? What would you do with a brain if you had one?
That was Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, I can't do the hydrate anymore. I would have to leave the stream. I would have to leave Cirrus to entertain you because I'm out of water.
I'm also out of water, as evidenced by me having to use up.
Cirrus is out of water in more than one way. Apparently an ad for Fruity Pebbles came on right after I said we have a drawer with all the snacks in it. Nice. Okay, I don't know why there's football pictures here, but there's football pictures here. It says, there are hundreds of Bible publishers, and we expect a robust competition for this proposal. It just so happens that we worded it in a way that one specific publisher has a massive advantage because they already got it.
Yay.
Former Oklahoma Attorney General Drew Edmondson, a Democrat, said the bid does not pass the smell test. I can't smell shit right now anyway, so what do I know? All fingers point to the Trump Bible that does contain all those requirements, Edmondson said. Is it just me, or is that a really awkward sentence?
All fingers point to the Trump Bible. The Trump Bible that does contain all the... No, that actually, that reads fine after a bit.
Okay.
All fingers point to the Trump Bible that does contain these requirements.
I got distracted thinking of other things that fingers could mean.
Oh, God damn it.
Who's out there? Okay, that was a child. I hope they didn't hear what I just said.
Hello. Was a child.
Well, fingers can mean anything to a child. For what it's worth, the requirement for America's documents was dropped from the Oklahoma Bible nonsense yesterday, ? I mean, I was going to say let's hope so, but then it's like, no, the whole Bible thing is just ridiculous, so let's just drop the whole Bible thing. But yeah, if it can not be a very obvious funnel money to Donald Trump specifically scheme, that would be great. And if they did drop that, then at least there's still some semblance of normalcy going on. Not much of one.
But enough to be confident in at least a couple of ways.
So according to financial disclosures released in August, he earned $300,000 off the sales of his Bible. So, like...
Can I have $300,000 for selling a book that already exists?
Yeah, you know what? King James Version is royalty free. What if I just like copy and paste it into one of those like self-publishing websites that takes a ridiculous cut of your profits or whatever, and we could just sell Bibles, and we can make them the atheist Bible. Okay, let's do the atheist Bible where we like just like copy and paste like some of our notes from one of our videos or something at the beginning and end.
And that's it.
And that's all
we'll
it.
do.
That's all we do.
We don't even have to copy paste notes. We can take old videos and just copy and paste a link to the YouTube video.
Yeah, Tasha says, sadly, it has to be a King James Bible. Yeah, I know. Why do you think the Trump Bible is the King James Bible? He doesn't want to pay royalty fees to anyone else. It's not because it's the best version of the Bible.
That'd be the New American Standard version for most people.
Okay, when you say for most people, is that the one the scholars like? Because I thought that was the NRSV that the scholars preferred.
And New American Standard is one of the ones that scholars consider to be one of the most accurate.
Okay, well, other people in my chat are agreeing with my NRSV conclusion. I like the Anchor Bible myself, which is fucking expensive because it is a scholarly translation that is done book by book, and each volume costs like $60 or $70.
Okay.
So like I only have 3 volumes. So I have 3 out of 66.
Looking at the differences, the NASB is favored more among conservative academics, whereas the NRSV is considered for more mainstream academics.
Okay. I use the ESV usually myself. But I'm not afraid to switch versions, because as far as I'm concerned, this is the perfect word of God we're talking about. If an all-powerful God can't make multiple translations say the thing that he wants it to say, that's kind of on him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, hey, that was our third story. We can go to the tweets now.
Holy shit, we did it.
Yay!
I'm so excited for us.
I'm so excited. And I just can't hide. My dad always used the NIV, says Fennec. Yep. I have my confirmation Bible is an NIV. That's the one that I've shown in some of my videos. That it has removable Corinthians because I've had it for so long and I actually use it quite a bit.
The removable Corinthians, it's definitely a feature.
Yeah, no, it's right here. It's got my removable Corinthians. Actually, no, that's just one page. That's the couple books. It starts with Philemon. But yeah, no, I've had this book since I was 13, and I used it.
You just call it Philemon instead of Philemon?
Sure. That's what it says. It says Philemon.
I
know I'm saying it wrong. I'm
not gonna even try to fight against that because I don't care enough about the Bible anymore.
Yeah, no, I know it's Philemon. I'm going to blame my sick brain for that.
Philemon sounds like it's a Digimon.
I have this book for to thank for realizing that the NIV actually was doing some shenanigans in their 2011 update. Because my copy of the book in the mustard seed thing, it says that the mustard seed is the smallest of all your seeds. But if you go to the 2011 version, it doesn't have the word your in there. So, like, this one was engaged in some apologetics to try and make that not a problem. Because if it's the smallest of all your seeds, that could be a limited set of seeds of which the mustard actually is the smallest. Whereas if it's the smallest of all seeds, that's just an incorrect statement.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, I have this book to thank for pointing out that contradiction to me. And its contradictions between the same version. Anyway, Florence says, why would anyone use psychedelics? Every testimony I read is like, I used LSD and here are all these false beliefs I think are true now.
Some people do it because they need to cut the edge off of their life.
Cyrus, have you ever heard of the Good Friday experiment?
It rings a bell, it was illuminate
an experiment in the 1960s where they gave a bunch of churchgoers a bunch of psychedelics. They did have a control group as well, so there was a group that did not have psychedelics. And then they basically did a long-term follow-up and measured their, like, levels of religiosity or whatever, like, however they measure that sort of thing. And the people that got the psychedelics, it described it as life-changing. It completely changed their outlook on things. It made them a stronger Christian. It made them stronger in their faith. One of the people that was a subject in the study actually went on to become a researcher in the neurochemistry of religion.
Okay.
And they, like, actually do research to support religious conclusions now because they're such a strong Christian because of the psychedelics that made them a strong Christian. So now, with that knowledge in mind, that psychedelics are just as likely, like, they will make you a stronger Christian if you use them in that environment. Now you have why would anyone use them? Every testimony I read is like, I used LSD and here are these false beliefs I think are true now. What does that say to you, Florence? And I did confirm Florence is a Christian. You kind of gather that from moral law within being the handle. But, like, I did go to the account.
It says something about the efficacy of your religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I'm not even going to go so far as to say that this means that there is nothing spiritual about it. It just means that it's all chemicals within the brain. Now, that is what I believe, but I'm not going to say that this says it. But what this does suggest is that if there is a spiritual thing that these drugs are helping you connect with, it is ambivalent about what religion you use to get there. So it ain't Christianity because the guy that's in charge of Christianity is definitely not ambivalent about the way you get to him.
No, he just wants you to believe in him, period, and he wants you to do it for the right reasons, or you're gonna burn, probably.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, is, like, a lot of times it's hardcore Christians that are against things like drugs, which is like, if you guys use drugs, it would improve your faith. It would improve your walk with Christ. Why are you against it?
Yeah. I'm not exactly certain if I'm in the camp of these drugs. What's the best way to put it? Expand your mind in a good way, or just in a creative way that is completely neutral.
I mean, I suppose that depends on what kind of trip you have. If you have a bad trip, then yeah, it's going to be a bad way.
Fair.
But, yeah. All right, next. Jamel Hill says, let me see if I have this straight. Late September, 100 Republicans voted against the stopgap spending to replenish FEMA funding, and although it passed, some of those same Republicans are now begging for aid. Now Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson won't reconvene the House to vote on recovery aid that could help millions of Americans. And even worse, they are spreading massive lies and misinformation about FEMA to their constituents. So the playbook is vote against a solution, campaign on the chaos they created, and then blame the Democrats. Do I have this right? Yes, Jamel?
Yeah.
You do have it right. I know normally I pick tweets that I disagree with, but this one it was just like, yeah, no, that's more succinct and accurate than I could have phrased it. So 100% you have it right, Jamel. Congratulations.
Yeah, you've oh my
okay.
god, it's this one.
No, okay. So this is a two-parter. There's a response to this, but I didn't want the response to be immediately visible. Tristan Tate says, like it or not, this is in fact what peak male performance looks like. World's most influential man plus world's richest man. Okay, Trump being world's most influential is debatable. He certainly is very influential. I'm not going to deny that. Not the most influential, though, I don't think. And world's richest? Sure. And, like, yeah, you pause my videos, you'll get me making silly faces that make me look dumb, too, so I'm not gonna... Jess is saying, is Tristan related to Andrew? Yeah, this is Andrew Tate's brother.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, so, like, I'm not gonna make fun of him for having a stupid-looking face in a pause frame. I have plenty of stupid-looking faces in a pause frame. I actually have fun with that. That's how I get a lot of my thumbnails. But, like...
How dare you make fun of this man? This is the clearest expression of autistic joy.
I wouldn't call it peak performance, though.
No, not really. Also, was it at that rally? I don't think it was at that rally that Elon Musk said the plan if Donald Trump doesn't win is we're fucked.
I don't remember where that was, but yes, he did say that. However, this tweet isn't really what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the tweet that I saw underneath this one. I'm not going to lie, Cyrus. I am actually starting to feel sad for one of Twit Tweet's regulars, and that would be Kevin Sorbo, who responded to this tweet with, all they're missing on that stage is Hercules. It's hard to see there, so I zoomed in. That was his response to that.
Kevin Sorbo is just like, but why wasn't I invited?
Please, Daddy Trump, notice me.
Please like me.
Notice me, senpai.
Please like me.
Please, God, I need you guys to validate me. Validate my existence, please. It makes me sad. Like, this is actually making me sad.
Why are you all disappointed?
Like, it's weird because I don't have sympathy for him, but I do see this and I'm just like, oh, he's like, he knows how pathetic he is and he's desperate to not be pathetic. And so he's trying to be included with the people that other people are saying aren't pathetic. But it's like, he's a piece of shit, so I don't really feel bad for him. But, like, I can empathize with that feeling, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm having mixed feelings, Kevin. Like, come the fuck on, Kevin. You can't be doing this to me.
Please like me. Please like me. I really need you to like me. Like, look, I get the fear of missing out thing, okay? When content creator friends of mine go and do cool shit together and I'm not there, yeah, it makes me a little sad. But then I realize that there are times where I get to go do cool shit with content creator friends of mine, and there are other friends who are close to me who don't get to do that as well. Like, yeah, but, okay. That's just what happens.
Okay, but so you have to picture this from Kevin's perspective, though. So he is publicly, he very clearly is very sad about the fact that people aren't including him. People that he sees as more influential than him, more important than him, are not including him in their circles. So he knows that he's not as important as these guys that he looks up to. But then he's also the guy that when he's on a movie set, everybody else is looking up to him. He is the big name actor there. But the reason he is the big name actor there is because he is now in the small pond of this indie Christian movie that has no other actor in it that anybody would recognize from anything else. And so the fact that they have the guy who is known from that TV show in the 90s as their top billed actor. So like from his perspective, like when he's in the position that people are looking up to him, they're looking up to him because everything else is just so pathetic by comparison. He's the best thing there and he's pathetic. So like his life is just a pile of sad. And I almost feel bad for him. Almost. I don't, but I almost do.
I understand almost feeling bad. I'm glad that we agree on almost feeling bad. But actually feeling bad would be a bit of a stretch.
It would, yes.
Like,
K-Sorbs now knows how disappointed we all are. I still like that he stands by the fact that he did that on purpose, or the idea that he did that on purpose, instead of just reading the stage direction.
it's so cringe, but it's on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, the climate has always changed. No amount of taxes or any government can stop or affect climate change. Stop giving away our freedoms because you've been brainwashed by the climate hoax. Also Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. Now, first off, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to be generous and say that the they in this statement is Democrats and not the people who control the space lasers.
No, you can't actually do that. You know why you can't do that? Because I told you about the follow-up tweet to this, where she says it's lasers that control the weather, and we know who she thinks controls the lasers.
Yeah, but they're also controlling the Democrats, so it comes around full circle.
These Jewish space Democrats.
Oh, stop trying to make the Democrats sound cooler than they are, Marjorie.
They're reptilian overlords.
Now, I could see a defense of this being made by saying like, oh no, but you guys are always saying that there's a difference between climate and weather. Weather isn't the climate. It's like, okay, yeah, but the average of the weather over a long period of time adds up to the climate. So if you can control the weather, you are directly controlling the climate. Like,
wasn't there a new report recently that said that within about 10 or 20 years, there's a chance that our ocean currents are going to change very fundamentally, and that's going to in turn increase the amount of hurricanes we see by a significant margin again?
Yeah, I do recall reading something about that. And also I recall seeing the Roland Emmerich movie about that. But I feel like Roland might have gotten a few details wrong.
You know what other movie got a few details wrong about that?
What?
The Core.
That wasn't about the ocean currents, though, Cirrus. That was about the core currents.
The rotation of the core stopping, and then all the things that we said would happen for that reason instead. Yes.
At least Roland Emmerich was trying to get a good message out there. He just failed at it. And that was another fun movie. I like The Day After Tomorrow. Okay. Fucking Dennis Quaid trying to be bad dad, good dad.
Have you heard of Al Gore's magnum opus, though?
What's that?
Birdemic?
Ah, yep, I have. I'm aware of Birdemic. I know Birdemic. That's another one. Yep.
God, it's so bad.
It is. Man, I'm just getting all the references today.
That is a movie I need to bring a bunch of friends of mine over to watch sometime.
Yes, absolutely. I'll come over for that. Marjorie again says, Hurricane Milton rapidly intensified to a Cat 4 hurricane. As North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia are still reeling from Hurricane Helene, Florida is now bracing for another direct hit by an incredibly unusual and historic hurricane. Continued prayers. Says the lady who voted against giving them money.
I vote against FEMA aid because Project 2025 says we should disallow. Yeah, that's a fun thing. Did you know that there's an entire section of Project 2025 dedicated to the disillusionment of FEMA?
I'm not surprised, but I didn't know that offhand.
I didn't know it offhand either until I brought Mara Kelly on, who's studied the Project 2025 way more than I have, way more than I've been able to. She's able to actually like grab those bits of information out and go, yeah, no, it wants to take over this area. It wants to remove this area from our government.
Okay, Rosita, I see your super chat. For some reason, it's not highlighting out of the stream. It says they aimed the Jewish space laser at the Gulf of Mexico, causing it to reach bathtub temperature. Yeah, sounds about right. But yeah, no, it's just the fact. I mean, this is my response to that Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet we just saw. They are voting against
this right.
They're voting against providing aid. Then they're complaining that aid isn't being provided. And they're blaming the Democrats for there not being aid when they vote against it. It's baffling. It's so fucking transparent, and yet the MAGA people fall for it, apparently.
Jesus.
Okay, so Rupert Lowe, MP, says, this flag should not be on display in hospitals, schools, and other public sector institutions. If private individuals wish to display their views, that's fine, but not when taxpayer money is involved. Keep politics out of the public sector, which the public sector is literally the sector that is controlled by the government, which is 100% politics, so, like, fuck off. But also, like, as a parent who has gender diverse kids, when I see that flag flying somewhere, I now know that, like, when they ask me about my kids, I can be like, hey, this is their legal name, but this is the name they go by, and these are the pronouns they use. And I'm not going to have this person look down on me or treat me differently or poorly or whatever because they have a name that's different than their legal name and they go by pronouns that don't necessarily match their gender assigned at birth or the sex assigned at birth. So, like, all that is signaling safety. Your kids are safe here. You can trust us not to bully them like your goddamn neighbor. So, like...
Yeah. Now that you've got a lot of personal firsthand experience with that.
Well, that wasn't specifically because of anything to do with the gender diversity, but I'm sure that would be a part of it if it came up with that asshole.
Wouldn't it be shitty if you found out that your neighbor actually knows who you are from watching your content and is doing shitty things as a way to try to rebel against you because of your content?
No, that's not it. No, he's... But, so, I actually... If I were to psychoanalyze him, I would almost say that he feels insecure in the fact that the only thing he's good at is being physically strong, because he's a big dude. He's strong. He's got muscles. He could beat me up if we had to fight. However, in the world we live in, that doesn't really matter. It's the people that are intelligent that get ahead, and he is not intelligent. Like, I'm not going to get into all the details of how I know he's not intelligent, but, like, he is not a smart man. And I feel like him lashing out the way he does is his compensation for his inadequacy. And the fact that the fact that he is actually terrified of having any sort of confrontation with us when, like, he is so physically imposing kind of backs up this idea that,
match,
like,
a battle of wits.
Yeah, because, like, he knows if it comes to being physical, he's going to jail, and he can't afford to do that, and he can't win the battle of wits, so he's got to run away. Like, that is my psychoanalysis of my neighbor. So Jester Lord of Shenanigans, I'm getting all the super chats now that my highlight it in the stream is broken. Says, I took a photo of day after in the ruins of Katrina. Yep, I remember Katrina. That was a lot.
I remember being in school and us having people who came in after Hurricane Katrina because Pensacola, despite being very wiped out, was not hit as bad as New Orleans was.
Yeah. Fennec says, I would engage in the battle of wits, but you appear to be unarmed. Reploid404 says, what kills me the most is that people are actually losing their lives because of these MAGA lizard freaks. It's just wrong. It's evil. Yeah. Absolutely. Especially like something like healthcare. If they don't know that you're trans, that can actually impact the results of your healthcare. There, like that can be an important thing to know. And if you're afraid to tell them that you're trans because you don't see a flag like this and you're somewhere in Georgia where they're often anti-trans, like that, like, so you just flying the flag there, it just shows people that they're safe there. That's it. That's all it is.
And there's nothing wrong with showing people you're safe there.
It's not trying to push being trans on people that aren't. It's not trying to start a fight with people that are anti-trans. It's just saying, hey, if you are trans, if you are gay, if you are queer, if you're gender non-conforming, if you're any of these other things, whatever, you're fine here. You're safe. It's okay. That's all of this. That's all this is. And then Tornado RPG, this was in response to me basically saying what I just said. Yeah, I saw that you interacted.
Stupid cuck.
I saw that you interacted with him as well, and then I was like, oh, is Cirrus like on my thread here? Like, nope, that's another one where he's being an asshole.
Tornado comes in about once every 2 or 3 days to try to say something asinine. So before I read whatever the fuck he said there, because I don't give a shit about what he said there, we're having Tornado RPG stories now. So I tried to bond with this person once upon a time. Because I saw their name was Tornado RPG, so I was like, hey, you must like role-playing games. How about we talk about that, since the only thing we ever seem to do on this website is fight? And he's like, no, I actually don't like role-playing games. It's actually just a shortening of my name. And I'm like, well, that was the one thing that could have humanized you to me. Fuck it. Never mind. You're a piece of shit.
Oh, so this is the tweet that caused me to block them. Because I retweeted this one, basically saying what I just said about it, where like, this isn't us shoving it down your face. This is just them saying these people are safe here. You are okay to be who you are in this location. And I commented that, like, you know, when I'm bringing like, I have gender diverse kids, so bringing my kids places, if I see that flag hanging there, I am much more comfortable. And I like that.
Yeah.
And before I knew any of my kids were gender diverse, that flag didn't hurt me. So, like, whatever, it's fine. So that's basically what I posted. Tornado responded with telling them something that they are not, or probably meant to say telling them that they are something they are not is not being a good parent, Rhino. Men are biologically men and women are biologically women. Also, media influencing kids more when now more shows promote this trans falsity. So he's directly attacking my parenting, saying that I'm a horrible parent who is telling my kids to be trans. Like, no, that is not what happened. You don't know the first thing about me, you fucking asshole. So, yeah, I don't block people very often, but, like, if you're attacking my parenting based on what you assume I did to my kids, based on the very limited things you know about my kids, just from the fact that you know that I have at least one gender diverse child, you are now making all these assumptions about everything about my family. Like, no, we are not interacting anymore. Goodbye.
So my fun time with them recently, because it's always a fun time where they're concerned. I responded to the Marjorie Taylor Greene's "yes, they can control the weather" post by just saying, who's they? That's it. Just who's they? Tornado RPG comes in going, chemtrails have proven to be true. Just because mainstream media doesn't cover it, that doesn't mean it's true. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's have fun. You and I have a fun time. Define chemtrails. Now, provide a source backing that up. And so they sent me a source, or they sent me a thing. It was not a source. And I know if I send this to you, I'm going to get a complaint from you about making you switch windows or something.
Yeah,
so
I saw your interaction with them, so I am aware of it. Yeah.
So what they sent was a thing from the European Parliament. Also, Arcus Doomer, thank you very much for the follow. So they sent me a thing from European Parliament where somebody asked a question to Parliament in 2009. That's it. It was somebody asking a question. And their question began with, many in the scientific community believe. I don't even have to continue on further with that sentence. Do you already see the problem with that sentence?
I see many problems with the whole scenario.
If there's 50,000 people in, quote, the scientific community, and 15 of them believe something stupid, that is many of them. 15 people is many. Many is a word that doesn't mean fucking horse shit at all. So I said, that doesn't back it up. And this is a source. This is a source where people just make claims about it. Also, by chemicals, do you mean like gas? The exhaust? Because like everything in the air is chemicals.
Everything's a chemical.
He goes, obviously, you know what I meant. Stop conflating it with pollution.
No, we don't. We don't.
I didn't mean pollution. What?
That's the problem with. Okay, my partner kind of laughs at me for this, but I like using chemicals as a catch-all for bad chemicals or whatever. Like what the way that people like that use it is one of my pet peeves, and I will always like respond to them like, no, everything is a chemical. Literally everything is a chemical.
When somebody's like, I don't use that shampoo, it has chemicals in it.
Yeah.
Bitch, your apple has chemicals in it.
But,
Shut
like,
the fuck up.
This is why I fight against that, because like what does chemicals even mean? Like chemicals is just a catch-all term to describe a category of things. It is neutral by itself.
It's a catch-all term that is meant to mean something to the right people. I'm not going to say it's the same level of a dog whistle because those have a certain intent there. It's not a dog whistle, but the same linguistic mechanics are involved. Where if I say the chemicals, the people who are right thinking, the people who think the way I think are going to respond to that by going, oh, those are the bad chemicals. And the people who engage in wrong think.
People keep redeeming hydrates, but my water's empty. I fully hydrated this time. It's done. I'm sorry.
The people who engage in the wrong think are the people who are going to not understand what I'm saying. And it's a fucking filter. It filters out the right and wrong people. Because when I say it, it's like when I say, we don't associate with those people. Well, a racist is going to know who those people are, and they're going to know that they're safer in conversation with me. And somebody who doesn't think about race...
And Forrest Valkai will know that you're talking about cat people.
Well, he's wrong. I understand his positions, and I respect them. They are also wrong. My continued fight with Tornado went with me dissecting this entire fucking thing because there's a part of it where they talk about Morgellons syndrome. Are you familiar with Morgellons?
I'm not terribly familiar with it.
All right, so Morgellons...
I have heard of it.
...is a syndrome that in the 2006 to 2012, there was a subset of conspiracy theorists that believed this was a real thing where fibers would grow out of your body. And they were like, oh, it's chemicals in cereal causing it. Oh, it's chemicals in the water causing it. Oh, it's chemtrails causing it. They could never figure out what the cause was. It was whatever the fuck they were freaking out about at the time, okay? I believed in Morgellons. I studied Morgellons on the internet a fuck ton because I was like, why is nobody talking about this? Well, it turns out the reason nobody's fucking talking about it is it doesn't fucking exist. The reason nobody talks about Morgellons is because it doesn't exist. 10 years after these conspiracy theorists got their hands on this bunk idea, 10 fucking years afterwards, doctors finally started saying, yeah, Morgellons is a real thing. It's a delusional disorder. Instead of you getting diagnosed with Morgellons, the fibers coming out of your skin, you got diagnosed with a disorder that said that you didn't understand what the fuck reality was. That's what Morgellons is. And that's what this fucking parliamentary question is asking about. So that was the second thing I went on to Tornado about. Just said, look, I can already tell you the person who asked this question is a goddamn idiot. Because they believed the things that I believed when I was a goddamn idiot.
Yeah.
Like this is one of those things that I can dig into hard.
I am just sitting here completely content in my decision to block this person. You have justified that decision, even if them directly attacking my kids did not justify that.
So after I completely dismantled them there, I even gave them a link to the Mayo Clinic on the current acceptance of Morgellons as a thing. And so Tornado RPG said, okay, well, this should be a better article about it. Because, okay, this is the thing that these fuckers will always do. Once you prove them wrong on something, they'll just grab another thing and throw it at you and go, look, I'm still right because this thing says. So they sent me to wakeup-world.com.
Oh, God.
So I ran that through the media bias fact checker. Turns out their conspiracy level is tinfoil hat. Their pseudoscience level is quackery. Their level of factual reporting through multiple analyses of their website is low.
Before I went to media bias fact checker thing, whatever, I would have gone to, is this a safe URL to go to? Or am I going to get malware?
Oh no, I don't go to the URL. You just go to media bias fact checker and you type in the name of the news source into their search bar.
I wonder if we have a rating on there.
I doubt it. I don't think we're quite on their radar.
If you
Progress
I
says,
will.
Interesting to see the switch to Cirrus being the angry rant on this program.
Yeah. Now I will go so far as to say that I forget what I was going to say. I don't know. Something.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those days. Fennec's yelling at me to cough into my elbow, not my hand. You're not the boss of me. This is my house.
So after I showed them that, hey, you're using a dubious source, so I'm starting to understand why you believe incorrect things. You fundamentally lack the ability to discern what makes information good and verifiable. I know this is a problem that Tornado has because it's a problem I had. I recognize this problem.
So you can't have a rating on media bias fact check without a dedicated website VR. I know what I'm doing with rhino.zip now. Because I own rhino.zip and I just have no idea what to do with it. I just thought when they opened up .zip, I was like, I'm going to grab one of those like low level, like just one word, rhino.zip. Right now it just forwards to my normal website, which is a Wix site.
So
we're going to set up the watering hole so we can get a media bias fact check.
Excellent. Tornado RPG responds by saying, here we go with the biased view on things, when automatically you go to a site that tells you every article that is left-leaning is right and the ones that are not are wrong. Also, the irony of you saying I don't have discernment when you believe biological men can be women is telling. I like how we bring in, we always have to bring in trans discourse randomly. It doesn't have anything the fuck to do with our current conversation, but you got to bring it in.
Oh, but if you believe trans people can exist, then that means that you're delusional, so you'll believe anything. Meanwhile, when before I blocked him, I did have a little bit of a back and forth, and part of that was I dropped my huge long list, go to research.viceround.com to see it for yourself, of... it's an entire collection of research related to trans people. It's everything from gender being separate from sex, trans people just existing in the first place, the idea that being trans is has its origin in biology, the fact that gender affirming care has the best outcomes, the fact that the treatments we have for trans kids are safe and effective, they prevent suicides, the thing we talked about last week where trans surgeries are actually almost non-existent on minors. All of the gender affirming surgeries on minors are cis kids that are like boys who grew boobs, essentially. And more. There's a bunch more than that. All of that to him within seconds of me posting it. So I don't think he even clicked the damn thing to see how many sources were there, much less read any of them. He responded with, "Oh, science can lie." Be like, okay,
yeah, so can you.
If that's the level that we're at here, yeah, science can lie, but I'm gonna trust the dozens to hundreds of scientists that are authors on the papers that I have linked here that have all had their papers go through peer review. I'm gonna trust them over some random guy on the twitter.com. Thank you very much. So, yeah, fuck off with that. Anyway, I think this is the last one. Victor M says, this AI demo is the most mind-blowing thing you'll experience this week. Link to the real-time demo. I censored it because I want the reaction when you see the actual picture. So this is an AI thing. And this is a thing that I've been seeing on Twitter a lot, where they'll take a still image and they'll use AI to make it like a face that can be moved around in a video, and they usually it usually looks like a freak show horror thing or whatever, like it's grotesque, until like the last couple frames where they've fixed the last couple things and it looks like it's usually not good, but it's like okay. What I'm going to show you in the uncensored version of this is the final. This is the good result that we got out of doing this to this frame of the video. So this is how AI can improve the Mona Lisa.
Why does she look like she's cringing at your last post?
Yeah, that is the appropriate face to have on when you see Tornado RPG in your comments. But yeah, that's AI is improving on classical artwork.
It's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, like
AI is a hell of a drug.
like that's the smile that I have when I hear a loud splat and then one of my kids says, "Hey, look at the thing that I just made." Like, "Oh, yeah, that's great. I'm definitely not going to have to clean that up in 5 minutes."
Nope, not at all. For you see, you aren't dealing with the average cringe anymore. I've ascended further beyond.
Yeah, this is... I don't even know... Like, I don't know who put this video up there and thought that it was actually good. But, yeah, that is... So, that's the end of the tweets. Yeah, so regarding AI stuff, like, I don't know... I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but there is something about AI art that, like, it always just seems a little bit off to me. Like, even the ones where, like, there's not obvious, like, fingers being all out of place, or, like, someone's hair flowing directly into their dress, or, like, weird shit like that. Like, the ones that actually look like they could be legitimately not AI, there's still something off about it. It's something about, like, the textures, I think. And I don't...
Too smooth.
Yeah, like
oftentimes it's too fucking smooth.
I don't know that it's too smooth though. Like, I don't know. It sits in the uncanny valley for me. And I hope that they don't get past that, because AI is like kind of garbage and it uses a lot of energy to do the shit that it does.
Have you seen Adam Conover's episodes going over AI?
No, I haven't.
You're familiar with them, though, I'm assuming.
I'm familiar with Adam. I've seen his older stuff, but I haven't seen
like
much
Adam
of his...
Ruins Everything and stuff.
I've seen some of his like podcast episodes since then, but yeah, that's the main thing I found out about him from.
So he's had like 3 or 4 different experts on his podcast, factually, that have taught. That's what I've been consuming a lot lately. So quick plug for a creator who's doing really, really decently at the moment. But on his factually show, he's had at least 3 or 4 different people who are experts in various areas of the AI field, between content creators who have done deep dives on it, to people who are actually involved in the tech industry, who have been like at Silicon Valley, seeing the people who are having discussions about generative AI and large language models and stuff like that. And just the amount of bullshit that is involved in that entire industry is insane. I was not aware that the reason that things like Netflix got so expensive over time was because the model that's used by the tech industry is one of dominating all of the competition and then eliminating that competition so that they can have a monopoly where they can spend, or they can charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
And
so
that's what AI is trying to do.
They operate at a loss for years to draw in all the venture capital, and then they struggle to ever turn a profit.
It's selling a pipe dream of a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yep. Yeah, and as far as the AI stuff goes, like, it is scary good, some of the AI stuff, but I feel like this is going to be one of those things where, like, they get 90% of the way there, but that last 10% is just going to take so much longer to actually accomplish. Like, yeah, it can do stuff that, like, if you're just spreading misinformation, you can have Donald Trump AI up an image of Taylor Swift endorsing him, and some people will see that and they won't recognize it as AI and they'll believe it, and that is a massive problem. But I feel like it's going to take a long time to get to a point where there are no signs that it's AI. And also, I have found, like, using the large language models, I found that, like, and again, I am probably more savvy to this than, like, your Uncle Joe who's just browsing Facebook or whatever, but I found that the way it writes is just not good. Like,
No,
I can
it's
often
not.
see what it was going for, but it's just missing something, and it's just like it doesn't understand things at the level that it needs to be able to actually emulate humanity.
What I have found for me is that the only real application I have for AI, the only application I've had for ages, is if I know that I'm going to be doing an interview with somebody and I just want an area for my brain to jump off of in terms of interview questions, I'll have it generate a few so I have an idea of, like, okay, this is the angle I'm going to go with, maybe, and then I'll write my own. Like, it's like, that's about the most I've been able to find for it.
So the main thing I've used it for is I use a lot of auto hotkey scripts. So I will use it to just write those, because before it was I'm not a professional programmer. I'm familiar with auto hotkey, but I can't just sit down and write a new script in the language required for that and have it just work out the gate. I will have to be, like, Googling how to do every little piece of whatever I want to do. So being able to tell ChatGPT, be like, hey, write an auto hotkey script that will do this. And usually it, like, I will almost always have to tweak something because, again, the understanding just isn't there. It doesn't have that capability, but, like, it'll get me most of the way there, and then there's just a couple things at the end that I got to tidy up.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it's the use cases for AI are alarmingly narrow.
yeah, it seems like just such a massive waste of resources for what it can do. And, like,
Yep.
I know there are people who get excited about using it for various things and whatnot, but it's like, so it's great that you made, like, this 16-second video that was almost consistent all the way through, and still looked oversaturated and oversmoothed and sat in the uncanny valley and was weird. But, like, do you really think we're gonna want to watch an entire movie of that?
No. Not generally.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for tonight. So thank you all for joining us. And as always, fuck off.